Welcome to Fouts Boxing Theory, professional striking coach for boxers and MMA fighters. In this video, we're going to be talking about 5 things that I saw in the training that I saw of Regis Prograis that he can work on for his next fight, or if he retires, I don't know. The first thing, there's a lot of training of Regis Prograis on the bag and on the mitts with one hand. Okay, this was a huge problem that we saw in the fight with him, is his inability to let his rear hand go, but also practicing stuff, both hands, practicing your combinations. It's not enough just to be good with one punch or one hand or this or that, or to just train them. You have to train how they work together. Okay, the next thing, right? This is a cute little gadget thing here, right? But this is very interesting for, I'll say, strength and conditioning, right? But one of the big mistakes that I think Regis Program made is using that little tool here on the mitts, all right? We saw Regis Prograis had a massive problem in the fight, closing the distance between him and Catterall. And if he's not used to actually closing distance with his stepping jab when he's moving through the line, right, and he's stepping with that stuff, he's not going to be doing it in the fight either. Okay, so the fact that he's practicing so much of um, his camp single-handed, but also not learning to chain things or slide together. Okay, it's gonna be very prohibitive for his ability to close the distance against a pretty fast or snappy guy. Okay, another thing. This is from his old camp, but if we watch a little bit of this highlight of his training here, he doesn't really keep his hands up. Okay, now normally I don't want to say that it doesn't really matter. At some point, you got to practice keeping your hands up. You do, it's important. But so much of this stuff that he's doing here, not only does he not have his hands up, but he's not actually circling the bag really. Okay, real quick. After you throw a combination in a fight, do you ever just get to do this? And then go back and then just play with your nose, right? No. You got to fight 3 minutes of every round. Okay, and you need to be constantly looking to protect yourself at all times while endangering your opponent at all times. And we can clearly see him taking breaks. Sometimes you're going to take breaks, but more importantly, there's nothing linking his sequences together. Okay, when he goes from this striking position where he's boom, right? He just happened to get on the line with the guy. How did he get on the line with the guy? He just started striking. He didn't have a setup. He just gets lucky enough to throw these punches. Okay, fine, we'll accept it. Then he throws the hook and he gets off the line. Whoa, I'm so good. Blah 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 blah. All right, now how do we bridge the gap again? Okay, on the line with the jab. All right, here he is. Was it a slip? Is he going to do a move once he gets there? No, he's just going to wait for the guy to get on the line with him again, right? There's not really any of the him bridging the gap between him and his opponent. He's not working his way in. He's not throwing a jab and then fighting off of that jab. He's not throwing a rear hand and then fighting off of that rear hand. He's not doing a stepping jab to get close and then following up and then getting off the line. There's no rhyme or reason to what he's doing on the bag. It looks like he's just staying busy. Okay, he's not really practicing fighting. This is not how fighting works. Okay, even though we can clearly see this dude's fast, man, and he's sharp. When he touches the bag and he throws his shots really quick. If you guys go listen to this shot, man, it sounds beautiful, beautiful shot. But that's not how fighting works. We're not practicing our striking. Okay, now one of the other things that I thought was a massive problem for him in his training. Okay, number 4, and then we're going to get to number 5, which is, if you guys have ever seen this video here with Roberto Duran trying to teach him how to fight or teach him some stuff, we're going to go over what Roberto Duran was trying to teach him. Maybe going to be taking a look at the Duran training and what he's trying to teach him and kind of go over a little bit of that. But let's continue with a little bit of a few other small mistakes. Now, there are a lot of really interesting gadgets for boxing training. Lomachenko uses the tennis ball on the head thing. There's a gadget for that. I personally think that that's one of the worst things that you can be doing. And a lot of the things that people do to add resistance to boxing really makes their boxing workout suck. Okay, now I think that this is a really cool gadget and it's really interesting. But when we take a look at the way that Prograis has to throw his punches, when we get to see him, it's going to really be prohibitive for him throwing a nice punch, okay, a nice stepping jab. And again, bridging the distance and breaking down the distance between him and his opponent, boom, as we see him very particular with that front foot and that back foot little shuffle as it comes in. Notice these aren't single movements, right? The stepping jab is supposed to be one move, and here it has to be two. He has to bring it and he has to gather his back leg. This means that it's very, very difficult for him to figure out with this contraption on how to throw a 1-2, a stepping 1-2. As we're going to see him, he is going to throw one of them with the full angle here in this next clip here. But he doesn't allow himself the ability to really learn how to chase and do all of his boom. And again, his back foot, see how he kind of falls off balance right there and has to reset. Shadowboxing is so precise. Everything that we do as a fighter is so precise and so particular. Adding resistance like this when you're supposed to be practicing and learning and getting better at a skill can often be much, much, much more prohibitive than it is beneficial, because he still has so much to learn about the proper way to circle, do this, do that, all this great stuff that you're supposed to learn. He has a very difficult time actually getting better when he adds this stuff. Now, if you guys want to learn how to do all that stuff, check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. Okay, the link is going to be in the description. It's right here. But check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. Again, check out the reviews. You can read them if you want. They're over here. You know, yada yada yada. All this stuff is really great. But it's $20 to be a part of the community. It's not private coaching, but it's almost private coaching. You know, if you get the private coaching, I'll be getting to your stuff personally, send it back and forth, and it's much more, you know, one-on-one attention. The community stuff, you post it, and every couple of days or a week or so, I do the community videos, and I teach you guys what you're supposed to be working on and how to get better. But it has a bunch of people in the community that have been part of my Fouts Boxing Combat System or Fouts Boxing Academy for a number of years that I've been working with that are, you know, also near experts in what I'm trying to teach and, you know, all that stuff. But this is a way for me to break down the cost of the Fouts Boxing Combat System, which is already really cheap. It's only $2.99. If you want to kind of learn all this stuff on your own and how it works and all that stuff, check it out. Or if you want to be part of the community, it's only $20 to sign up, $20 a month, or there are also $100 for 6 months, which is a good deal. $160 for a year, which saves you a bunch. Or the private coaching is $400 for a year of private coaching, and you can send your videos directly to me. Yada yada yada. But if you want someone who's going to be in the gym with you, or someone who's going to be teaching you, you know, not just sitting on the side here. You see his coaches here sitting on the side while their prized possession, Regis Prograis, who was already an incredible athlete before they were lucky enough to meet him. If you want someone who's going to be yelling at you, telling you, get your goddamn hands up. Don't sit in front of Jack Catterall in the ninth round so that he jumps on your line with a 1-2 and then knocks you down, a guy who doesn't have any power. Right? You don't want to be wasting your time doing the same thing for 5-6 years that you've known a guy and never getting better. You know, like this bum ass coach over here. But if you guys want someone who's going to be help you be accountable, be someone. If you guys want a coach who's going to push you, okay? If you want a coach who not only knows how you should be getting better, but it's going to make you get better. When you send in lazy work, I'm going to tell you it's lazy work. I'm going to call it bullshit and in front of everybody. Okay? You're going to want to work hard because the people in the Fouts Boxing Academy work hard. Okay? Now, the last thing that we're going to be going over is a little bit of the Duran footage here. Duran has a little bit of a clip here that he tried to share, or like he tried to teach a little bit of Regis to Regis Prograis, and he kind of starts trying to tell him how to throw his punches hard. Right now, one of the things that he kind of teaches him or tries to teach him, okay, he's going to get into this little structure, and he's like telling him hit him hard, boom. Okay, but one thing that Regis Prograis is going to do when he throws all his punches, we're going to take a look. He's not using his feet, okay? So if we take a look at his foot right here, and we're not going to use this example here, but let's get the really good example over here. Yeah, so he's trying to tell him to use his body to turn and not to move his feet. Boom. And as we take a look here, okay, what we want to see is instead of driving off of the ground, again, we want to use, when we throw a punch, we want to use both of our feet. Okay, and we can clearly see Regis Prograis here is not using both of his feet here. His back leg is coming completely up off the ground. He's turning. It looks like he's rotating into the punch, but he's not actually driving from the ground, okay? And Duran notices this, but doesn't actually know how to tell him to use his foot to drive off the ground. okay, to push off the ground with both feet. He's trying to tell him to stay planted or to keep his weight on the ground and to use his weight, but he doesn't know how to tell him to use both feet. Okay, this is a Fouts boxing theory that you use both of your feet to learn to train your punches. When you get better, you can hide this, right? But in the beginning, learning how to drive and jump into both punches is very, very, very helpful so that you can make sure that you coordinate all your weight. Okay. Roberto Duran spends quite a bit of time in this video telling him to punch this thing hard because he can see how strong Regis Prograis is and how much weight Regis Prograis should be getting when he lands a really good shot. Okay. Now, like I tell everybody, it's so much different when you can see how much weight a guy can really and should be really able to pick up if he's a strong guy like Regis Prograis. Okay. But again, you can clearly see that when he throws these punches, he doesn't actually drive his weight from the ground. He actually just twists his foot in a way, and again his foot doesn't come up off the his foot comes up off the ground. Now, when I try to teach people this skill and I try to teach people how to do this, okay, one of the things that most people have a problem with is creasing their shoe. Okay, everyone wants to keep their kicks nice and clean, right? It's pretty street, you know. There's a thing that women have where they see a guy who has nice fingernails and they know that he takes care of himself, right? I guess when guys see other guys with nice shoes, they know he takes care of himself. So like guys, try to, mog with those shoes, I guess. Anyway, if you're going to spend your time trying to protect your shoes, which are only there to protect your feet, you're not going to learn what you need to learn. It's very important that you aren't worried more about your shoe than you are at becoming the greatest fucking fighter on the fucking planet. Who cares about your stupid fucking $60 pair of shoes? Who cares? Take them off and drive your feet into the ground. Destroy that skin, build the calluses. The things that you're trying to accomplish by being in front of the bag and training are so much more greater than your $60 pair of Nike shoes. Honestly, it's sad. But anyway, don't forget to check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. Again, anybody who's trained with me in person knows that what I teach and what I'm showing and what I'm demoing on YouTube and all that stuff is so much different than it is in person. Okay. And if you guys need a coach that's going to look at your training footage, that's going to tell you where you're failing, that's going to care more about you succeeding than you care about you succeeding. Okay. Check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. We're real fighters. We train hard. Okay. Come see what it's about.